Week 3 of Super Rugby AU is here. There's 4 matches this weekend, 2 of which will be covered in this video. Obviously, the 2 Australian ones in this video. I'll also leave the timestamp somewhere if you want to skip ahead to that part of the video, or you can just scroll down here to go ahead, or maybe one of the games are already passed in this week. The standings look like this at the moment, where we see the Reds are picking up where they left off in the normal season, where they were very good, but they were inconsistent. They have a win and a draw, so probably still. But they are at the top of the conference so far, with the Brumbies just below them. The first game of the weekend is the Reds versus the Western Force, who showed what they can do last weekend. It wasn't the most entertaining game or the most attractive game, but there were signs of what they can do. They are playing at the Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Clear skies ahead, so running rugby from these two teams. Both of them love playing running rugby, and the referee for this one is also a guy that encourages running rugby, Nick Berry, so I have a pretty good feeling for this game. Going by the history, just like last week with the Force, we can't read too much into it because they were absent for like the last 3 years, so not too much in it, but it is interesting to note that it is in the Force's favour. The Reds go in with a win and a draw, while the Force have a loss so far, having only played one. They had a bye in the first week, so yeah, it is difficult, but the bookies have the Reds to win by 15 points. As we can see from the squads, there isn't much changes. As a matter of fact, the Force didn't change anything from their starting 15. The Reds, they made 2 changes of players that are in pretty good form so far. Fairway Sotia and then Scott Young in. Boy, Fairway Sotia, did he have an impact when he came onto the park on outside centre last week. I think he probably assisted in one of the tries of the season. Man, that was a good one. If you want to check that out, it's probably somewhere on YouTube. The rest of the Reds backline also has a couple of movers, with Campbell moving to number 15. Hegarty goes to the bench, so I assume James O'Connor will probably take over the kicking duties, though Campbell, he can kick as well. He didn't kick that well in the start of the normal season, but yeah, he can kick as well. But the number 15, he is very impressive on the attack. In the regular season, he showed what he can do at number 15. Daigunu, he joins them on the wing. I mean, 2 tries from 2 games, so impressive from him. 9-10 combo remains McDermott and James O'Connor, and they've been in great form. Probably the most consistent combo for Wallaby contention at the moment. Both love attacking rugby. James O'Connor, he also showed a couple of finesse passes last week to set up Daigunu for a try. But don't forget about Pryor and Lance. Both of them are still finding their rhythm with each other again, but they are a very experienced pairing, and they are back at their old stomping ground, so they have something to prove. Uester and Brachi at number 12 and 13, they were solid last week, though we might see Kahui joining them one of these days. I see that they signed him. What a great signing for their team. It's just a guy that brings some physicality to that team. That back 3 of the Western Force, you can see there is something there. Maybe we didn't see too much of it last week, but you can see there's something there. In an open game, in a running game, we might see a little bit more, which I hope in this game. I mean, a guy in the back line with a hairstyle like that, number 15, you know he's a dangerous guy. He's not scared to be seen, so he's pretty dangerous. I can see there's signs of him. I'm looking forward to the battle at number 8, where we see both guys are basically bulls running at defenses every single time they have the ball. Stowers was impressive for the Force last week. He's up against Wright and McWright, who has had impressive seasons so far. Thrush was great last week. I think he made my dream team as well, which is linked up here. And, well, Salakai Lotto made my dream team as well. The scrums will be a tough battle because both front rows usually dominate their opposition. Well, the Force dominated the opposition last week, so that's what I'm going off of there. On the benches, the Force didn't make a lot of changes either, just the one change in their whole squad, while the Reds, they basically changed half of their bench, so they have a few changes there. Holmes made a huge impact for the Force when he came on. He's also a veteran that played for the Reds, so more impact from him probably when he comes on. He really dominated his younger opposition. I could see the same probably happening against Xander and Straker, but who knows what's going to happen there. Hegarty will play an important role off of the bench because he can just slot in wherever the Reds need him. While I expect Godwin to probably have a better game than last week, he didn't really do much, but he's still finding his feet with the squad that he used to play for. Both teams like playing a running game, so I think we're going to see an exciting game here. I really am excited for it. I still don't know much about the Force, so I can't really back them. I do think the Reds are stronger though. I think the Reds will win by 10 points. Next up we have the Waratahs, who is back at the ANZ Stadium this week, and they are up against the clear competition favourites, the Brumbies. History-wise, it is also in the Brumbies' favour, and that is against a stronger Waratahs side. Remember, this Waratahs side is probably in a rebuild phase, so there's a lot of young guys over there. The weather, it's overcast clouds, so not too bad. Angus Gardner, probably the best ref in Super Rugby, so good referee to have for this game, because let's face it, it's probably going to be a lot of forward battle in this one. Probably not as exciting as the first one. Well, I could be completely wrong. There is some big names on there that could tear a game apart if they wanted to. The Brumbies also have the advantage of coming off of a bye week this last week, so they've been preparing for the Waratahs. While the Waratahs, they picked up their first win of this AU season against the Force last week, even though it was very close. The bookies have the Brumbies to win by 9 points. That will be the first away victory in this competition so far, in the AU competition so far, if the Force doesn't upset the Reds. Looking at the lineups, the Brumbies welcome the return of Tom Banks at number 15. He'll make a big difference there with his attacking lines. He does run, he does join the line very well, and his kicking from the back is just something you can't replace with any youngster in the side. He joins up with Muriad and Wright, who's also been in impressive form. The Waratahs, they have their own impressive number 15, who's taken over from Beale and has been doing a good job at it. I think he was in my dream team as well. There's some other movement in the backline as well for the Waratahs, with Hunt coming in at number 12. So Walton shifts to number 13 and Newsom to number 11. Meaning the prodigy Nawakwa Nitawase is on the bench. He'll probably be ruining that, but he hasn't done much in this first couple of games, but he is a very good player. Hunt is a welcome return for the Waratahs because they have tough opposition in the centres with Simone and Kuredrani in front of them. My matchup of this game, and probably the Australian weekend, is going to be Lolosio versus Harrison. Both are 20-year-old prodigies in Australia. Both are gunning for a Wallaby spot, and I think this is the perfect chance to prove what they can do. I know Dave Rennie will be watching this game to see which one comes out on top. If that's not big enough for you, look at the loose forward battles. We have Samu versus Dempsey, Hooper versus Cusack, and then Swinton versus Valentini. So that's just battles waiting to happen all over the park. We'll see some massive collisions over here. The Waratahs might feel that they have the upper hand at line-out time with Simmons and Hannigan, but the Brumbies, their one is just as good. Just ask Falau Vahinga at the back of a mall. He likes scoring tries from that. While the Brumbies know what they have at scrum time, they have their front row of Alan Alatoa, they have Falau Fahinga and Slipper, their Wallaby front row, up against the Waratahs, who did bring in some reinforcement. Robertson is back from his injury, replacing Bell, who's been struggling a little bit in the first couple of weeks. So I think that's good for them. I think that will improve their scrum, but that's a big scrum to go up against. On the bench, the game changers that I can see here, Abel probably for the Waratahs. The experience from the hooker can make a difference. Staniforth as well. And then Nawakwa Nitawase will want to prove that he should be starting. He is a prodigy and he should be a Wallaby one of these days. The Brumbies, they have Scott Seo and Will Miller to bring some game-changing effect. But in the backline though, not a lot of strength in there. I don't know, maybe. The Waratahs lost to the Reds in the first week and then barely scraped by the Force with 9 points last weekend. While the Brumbies, they had a bye week last weekend after a win. So I don't think this game could go any other way. I could be wrong, but I think the Brumbies will win by 7 points. Guys, let me know your prediction for this game down in the comments below. And if you want to check out any of these other videos, feel free to do so. And then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.